Welcome to the Real Estate Pros of Houston podcast, where host Mark Zachary talks to high-producing real estate agents in the Houston area about their story and what makes them so successful. Each episode, our guests will tell you what they're doing that works and what makes them so successful, as well as insights that will help you take your business to the next level. Now, here's Mark delivering a true real estate pro of Houston.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Real Estate Pros of Houston. And today we've got Mr. Garrett Weathers out of the Katy area. And I'll ask Garrett a little bit later about the areas that he serves. But he lives down in the Katy and Richmond area. And so we appreciate you joining us today, Garrett.
Mark, thank you for having me on the show.
Yeah, you bet. I think you're you know what? I think you're about number 31 or 32 in episodes. You're not number 31 or 32 in the agent ranking by any means. So that's not what I was talking about. But we hired a company to go after the top agents in the area, and said, hey, we want the most successful agents. And when I say successful, I'm not meaning by dollar volume or unit volume. It's about the reputation that they have in the business, how long they've been in the business, and different things like that. So I don't know how they found you, but they found you, and I'm sure glad that they did.
Yeah, no, I'm glad you reached out. It's not just your production numbers that make you a successful agent. It's how people, or how you treat people and how they treat you back. So I'm glad they reached out. That's
exactly right. Looks like they found a good one for me to interview today, and we're looking forward to hearing your story. And that's where I always like to start, because a lot of times that you just sharing your story will trigger other questions that I may have or that other people may have. So but we'll start there. Tell me your story, how long you've been in the Houston area. Tell me a little bit about your family, if you are comfortable doing so. And then we'll, how long you've been in the business and all that kind of good stuff. And we'll see. I was telling you right before I hit the record button, it's going to be shocking to see how fast 30 to 40 minutes goes when you start talking about what you love to do.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I love real estate, but now that I've been into real estate, it's not a job, it's really not a career, it's a passion. So yeah, it makes it really easy to talk about, especially with other people. And like you said, the time flies. So I'll try to keep it short as well.
No, you're good. Yeah, we just, it's, I've had them go over an hour before, and that's okay, because if you're in Houston traffic, your commute may be an hour. So it's okay. I try to keep them down to a commute time. But man, depending on where you work in this area, it could be an hour commute downtown or something like that. So no
That's
big
the
deal.
truth.
So how long have you been in the Houston area?
So I moved to Katy in 2010.
Okay.
So I'm from the Fort Worth area originally. At the time, I was working in oil and gas. So that's what brought me down to Houston to begin with. Met my wife in 2011 and haven't looked back ever since. So definitely love being down here. She's originally from Katy, so that made it a little bit easier to meet some people and find out, just little things about the area. So, I mean, growing up, we always heard about Katy, like Katy high school football. And I had no idea where it was until I moved down here, and then realized, oh, okay, this is that football team everybody was talking about up in DFW.
Yeah. So did you go to high school down here, or were you, I can't tell how old you are, it's not important, but did you go to high school and grew up in Fort Worth? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah. I grew up in Fort Worth, Arlington to be exact. Born and raised there, and then right out of high school, went through the fire academy. So I just have a little bit of background there before I got too injured. My body wasn't keeping up with the rigors of that industry. So after that's when I got into some like retail management, inside sales, and then after that was in the oil and gas. So by the time I moved down here, I was 26, 27. So
Okay, well, you look very young on the screen, so I was like, I'm not really good at judging people's ages, or so.
well,
Anyway,
it's clean shaven. You don't see the gray that's in there, so that
yeah.
helps out pretty well.
So what drew
Um,
you into real estate?
so actually, a coworker of mine, when I was in oil and gas, she got her license and she worked with Keller Williams.
Hmm.
She was out of the Sugarland office,
Okay.
and I was just picking her brain about it, and me and my wife had bought our house just a few years before that,
Hmm.
and the process really intrigued me. And it's with real estate, you're not selling a product, you're really just selling yourself and making sure that you can take care of people. So I had already done that in my previous history of work. So she
Let me interrupt
basically,
you real quick. What
yeah.
was your experience in buying your first house? Did that have any bearing on, hey, I could do this better, or hey, I really like this. I'm gonna give this a shot.
So our process was actually pretty easy. We built from the
Okay.
ground up. But my mother-in-law was an underwriter for mortgages for 30 years. So
Oh,
we knew a little bit about the process as far as the mortgage side went, and then of course just building the home ourselves. And had I been a realtor at the time, there would have been things that I would have done differently based off of my experience now.
okay.
Um, and renegotiated some things differently, but also I felt that I could do the process better. We didn't use a realtor when we bought, um, and I really felt that we needed one after the fact. Going through it, I really didn't think anything about it. But after we
Ah,
finished and closed, I was like,
yeah,
probably would have been a good idea to have a realtor, at least to explain some things for us that we didn't know about.
yeah, yeah. Well, it's interesting because I think a lot of buyers uh, think that um, think that having an agent costs them money, and it really doesn't. I just had this conversation a couple days ago with a guy that was wanting to look by himself, and I was like, man, you really need a realtor because they do this every day. They know the contracts. So who's going to write the contract for you? And well, I don't want to. I want to spend that extra money. And I said, it doesn't cost you anything to have a buyer's agent because that comes from the selling side. So anyway, it's something that I think a lot of people don't even realize that they're not the ones that pay for the commissions for a buyer's agent.
Yeah, I mean, they typically don't. Normally, the seller does pay it. It's not
Mhm.
100% of the time. There are
Right.
times where, seller may not be paying commissions. And then at that point in time, it's really about, your buyer's rep agreement that you have with your clients, and, if they've got the funds to pay, your commissions or not.
Mhm.
Um, not all listings pay the same amount of commissions, and that's really not something that we're supposed to look at. Um,
Yeah.
we have fiduciary duty to our client. So realistically, it doesn't matter what commission's being paid out. I'm one of our licensed supervisors in our office, and it's I've built my business up over the years, so it's not something I look
Mhm.
at. I know that as long as I take care of my clients, they're going to refer me out to somebody else that they know. So if I didn't get a full 3% commission, that's okay. I'm going to get a referral most likely from my clients,
Yeah.
which at the end
Yeah.
of the day, that'll make up for it, but it's about the building up the relationships. So
Yeah. Yeah. It's so true because of the people that I've interviewed so far, they all have a very similar thought process. Yeah,
mhm.
you just take care of the clients, and they'll take care of you down the road with referrals and leads and different things like that. I think the biggest problem that a lot of realtors have is they don't stay in touch with their database. And so it's those agents that are very transactional focused that they get that commission check and they're often running to the next one, and they barely even send a thank you note from the previous one. So
Yeah.
that's a good job on your part to stay in touch with them and because you're right. They will give us referrals on the mortgage side. They will, refinance down the road or different things like that.
Mhm.
But so yeah, great point. So what actually gets you up in the morning? What drives you?
So, so the why is the question. Why do we want to be realtors? Why? And
Yeah.
after I go through some deals with people, and they see how much is actually involved with it, and they come back to me and ask, well, why in the world would you want to do this every day? There's times that we yelled at, screamed
Yeah.
at. Most of the time it's unrelated to our clients, and it's just some
You're
third
herding
party.
cats.
Yeah, yeah. Sometimes you're herding cats. But so my why is actually my family, my wife. I've been in the corporate world, working for somebody else, working their hours that they wanted me to work.
Yeah.
There is no such thing as part-time real estate. You might want to be a part-time agent while you have your other job, but you're still going to put 40 plus hours in a week. Those hours just look different. But that's my why. So to be able to give my family the life that they deserve and what they want, but also for me it was putting in, if I'm going to work a lot of hours, I want it to be for me,
Yeah.
not necessarily for somebody else. And to be able to have the freedoms of going on vacation, something like that, and I'm one of those agents. I still take my laptop with me, so I don't 100% disconnect when I'm on vacation.
Yeah.
Part of that for me this year is growing my team, get a transaction coordinator so that I can do that and actually
Okay.
devote that time to family. But that's my why. So right now it's just me and my wife, no kids yet, and it's we want to be able to travel and not have to really worry about a regular 9 to 5 job to where you've got to ask permission to
Yeah.
take away, just take some time off. And that was my biggest reason, was I want to be able to do the things that I want to do on my own time, and spend the time with my family.
Yeah. Yeah. I interviewed a guy just a few weeks ago, and he was like, man, I was into the corporate world. I wanted to be a CEO of this corporation and work my way up. And he said, I realized that, man, there are so few roles like that. And I said, well, you just, when you got into the real estate business, you just jumped from wherever you were to the CEO of your own company, and you
Mm-hmm.
can, dictate if you get to go to your daughter's games or not, and you don't have to ask anybody if it's okay. You
Yeah.
can do that, and that's what I've loved about owning my company as well. I own the mortgage company, and man, I was able to uh, coach my daughter's softball team and go to band practices and concerts and contests and things like that. And I didn't have to call anybody to say, hey, can I take a personal day off to go do this? And so it's a great thing to, when you have kids, to be able to do that.
Yeah. And there's a meme that I've seen here, I don't know, last 6 months, and it says, nobody cares. Only your kids will care about how many hours you worked,
Yes.
because they're
Yep.
going to remember, hey, growing up, dad was gone all the time. That's how it was
Yeah.
with my dad. He was a traveling salesman. So there was times where he spent 45 to 46 weeks a year
Oh my
gone,
gosh. Really?
home on the weekends only, so that was tough.
Yeah.
And I made that decision when I was really young. I didn't want to have to do that, to where I was only available on the weekends.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a lot of things that were missed. Love my dad. He did what he had to do. So
Sure.
it's just one of those things where that's what the job was.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, how do you define success? Is it well? I'm not even going to lead you down the road. Well, how do you define it?
Success for me is, it's kind of evolved over the years. When I was a brand new agent, success was, getting that first offer under contract, working with that very first client. That was a big success.
Mhm.
Now that I'm 7 years in, success for the last few years has looked more like getting my relationships built up over time. And success to me is the thanks from my clients that say, you should go use Garrett for this reason. I have one set of clients, they call me their family realtor. So everybody that they know that
Nice.
is everybody knows somebody that's a realtor.
Yeah.
We all know 2 or 3 realtors, even if you're not in the industry. So for them to tell their friends, oh, we already have a family realtor, here's his contact info, if you want to reach out to him, even if it's another realtor, they still say that. So to me, that's success. Doing the best for my clients, not only just in the easy transactions but also in the hard ones, to where they have a lot of tough questions. And it's about being honest with them and giving them the facts, the hard facts. Sometimes, the truth is hard to hear sometimes. But knowing that, hey, I can have that conversation with them. They're going to respect me more for being honest that way, and love me even more, even though, there's the love-hate relationship with any type of business. But they're going to use me and trust me with what most likely will be their biggest transaction. So that's what success looks like to me.
Do you get a large part of your business from repeat and referrals, or do you do a lot of advertising?
I would say over the last 3 years, 100% of my business has been repeat and referral.
Really? So
So
you must
yeah.
have a really good way of staying in touch with people.
So yeah, I mean, I've got a very good referral base. Staying in touch with my past clients. I mean, yeah, you're gonna, pick up some clients, via social media, something like that. So I guess I can't say 100% of my business has been referral, but it's at least 90%. Especially over the last few years, where my business has really jumped after getting laid off at my other job a few years ago during COVID. Since then, it's just taken off, but it's been awesome, and it's been, almost 100% referral.
Yeah. Well, what are some of the challenges you're having in your business right now?
Oh, it's probably the same challenges as most other agents. Buyers are
Yeah.
really having a hard time with interest rates. That's a big pill to swallow when you go from if you're renting right now and you're, $1,800 to $2,000 monthly rent, and then you go to buy a house and that mortgage payment's going to be, $30,000, $3,500. It's a big pill to swallow. I have
Yeah,
a
and
lot of
the
clients.
insurance is so much higher this year than last year, and I mean
Yeah,
everything has gone up.
costs are going up across the board. And it's with my buyers. A lot of my buyers or clients are repeat. So they're selling their first homes that we bought them a few years ago, and they locked in great rates.
Yeah.
But it's about educating them and letting them know, hey, this is what you can expect. So on the lending side, like, you're going to pay more for your monthly mortgage. When rates do go down, you can always refinance and get that rate down a little bit. But I mean, I really believe as rates do come down, the prices are going to go up a little bit. So you
Yeah.
can't buy the same house today, or in 6 or 8 months at the same price. It's just not going to work. So that's one of the challenges. Of course, insurance rates. My home rates are going up. So with all the insurance claims from the 2021 freeze, a lot of companies are moving out of Texas, which is causing our rates to go up. That's an upfront cost for home buyers, as part of their closing cost. So that's another challenge. We do have a little bit lower inventory still, but that's not as much of a challenge right now as like it was during COVID.
hmm hmm Yeah, I agree with the rates what they are. I've been doing this 31 years now, and for the majority, I'd say 28 out of the 31 that I've been in this business, the rates have been between 5.5 and 7, which is right where we're at now.
Mm-hmm.
And but so many people bought during 19, 20, and 21 when rates were, incredibly low due to COVID and the
Yeah,
federal government buying mortgage-backed securities, so we wouldn't have a complete financial collapse. And so they thought that was normal, which that
exactly.
was not normal. We're in today. Today is a normal rate. I mean, it's higher than what people want to pay, but 28 out of my 31 years, it's been right in this area. So I think the longer they stay here, the more people will realize that this is okay. This is normal, but you got to be careful what you ask for in lower rates, and then
Hmm.
getting 2 and 3, 4% again. I heard something the other day that said for every point that the rates drop, that brings back an additional 4 to 5 million people into the market. So to
Definitely.
touch on what you said that price probably would go up if the rates come down. That's exactly right. That's why the houses were being bid up 25, 30. I even heard $100,000 at one point. So you got to be careful that you're asking for a 3% raise. A 3% rate. Do you have the cash to compete with those that have the cash set aside?
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, it may not be a big increase in the price point, but you're going to be competing with other buyers.
Right.
So at that
Yep.
point in time, you're going to have to restructure your offer to compete with that. Sometimes it includes going over, potential asking price.
Yeah.
Um, so it's a give and take. And like you said, everybody thinks that low rate was normal.
Hmm.
It wasn't normal. And right before COVID, if I remember correctly, rates were, but depending on what your credit score was, you could get anything between 4 and 6.
Hmm.
Depending on what your individual situation was, and that was normal.
Yeah.
So being at 6 to 7, a little bit over 7, it's not that far off from what we were before COVID. But the problem
Yeah.
is we had COVID for 2.5 years. So like you
Right.
said, everybody thought that was kind of the normal, and
Yeah.
it's really not. So I think the
Yeah.
longer that the rates are higher, the more normalized it will become
Right.
in
I
everybody's in
agree.
everybody's eyes. And as COVID becomes hopefully a distant memory,
Yeah.
um, it'll level things off.
Right. Well, are you doing any social media education on these things that you're having challenges with, like a YouTube channel and all of that? How are you getting your word out to all these people that are thinking about buying, but saying, "Well, I want to wait till it gets to 3.5 or 4." Are you using social media to help you with that?
I do use social media, more Instagram and Facebook. I mean, I've got my YouTube channel that I've had for years, but I really haven't put anything on it. Social media has been one of my lowest factors of my business, because before I became a realtor, I didn't post anything online. That wasn't my style.
Yeah.
Obviously, being a public realtor now, it's like, okay, I've got to be more active. So I do post on there. I do post things that educate people. I have a lot of conversations with people. Um, I'm much better about having a conversation with you either on the phone, face to face. There's only so much you can kind of convey through a social media
Yeah.
post, but it's really about educating the buyers and sellers as well, because you've got to remind sellers that we're not in COVID,
Right.
so you can't
You're
overprice your
you're not going to
home.
have 20 people coming through and
No,
making an offer.
yeah, I mean, it's if you price the home right, it should sell really quickly. So we're still in a balanced market, I believe. But as long as you price a home correctly where it should be, you really shouldn't have any issues with getting in the right buyer for that property.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's also about educating sellers as well.
Yeah.
We're nobody's doing appraisal waivers right now. There's no need for that.
Right.
Uh, 20, 30, 50K over asking is not going to be an issue. It's not going to come up. Um,
Right.
so, so that's conversation for sellers as well. Is you got to bring everybody back down to earth and basically remind everybody, hey, I do this every day for a living. This is what the market tells us, and the market will tell you really quick what it thinks about your property.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it really does, and it's kind of that's a foreign concept to especially sellers. When
Yeah.
you just say the word market, the market will tell us. Well, that means other buyers.
Right.
They will tell us.
Right. Right. What are three non-negotiables in your business, in your personal life, and your business life? What has to happen today or this week, or all hell's going to break loose. Now, and taking your wife on a date is probably number one.
Oh yeah, definitely have to include my wife.
Yeah.
Amy's great. She supports my business 100%. She's you know she's a school teacher here in Katy,
Oh, she
and
is.
she is, and so she's referred a ton of business to me over the years. Just from
Yeah.
coworkers. But three non-negotiables really is got to include her. So any big business decisions, we have a conversation. She's my partner. She's not in the industry. She doesn't have her license or anything like that. But it's, she's my spouse. So we're gonna be on the same team. On the same page with whatever decisions go.
Yeah.
Gosh, a second non-negotiable really is. I've had agents and clients alike, shoot me a message or phone, try to call me, 11 o'clock, 12 o'clock, 2 o'clock in the morning.
Are
That's not
you
going to fly.
serious?
I'm serious. That's not
Oh
going to fly
my
with me.
gosh.
So, I set my expectations. I let my clients know, hey, it's not going to do me good to try to call an agent at midnight. So I'm not going to. If you send me a text, say, hey, we want to, something about go looking at my house or something like that. Okay, we'll schedule it in the morning and we'll see if that time's available. So really non-negotiable about that is setting my limits with clients.
Yeah.
You got to set your boundaries. If you don't set your boundaries, you're going to get run ragged. With clients, they're working with one realtor, and that's you or me. I'm working with multiple clients. So when everything is going well, you're managing multiple transactions at once, and it's not just a one-time thing with somebody. It's, hey, I've got 4 or 5 other people that I'm showing homes to, so it's something I've got to remind my clients, like, hey, just remember, I work with other people at the same time. If I don't respond to you within just a few minutes, let me know. I mean, I'm setting the boundaries. And I'll tell everybody, hey, if we are under a contract, then you get a little bit more time in the evenings than somebody that's not under contract, because sometimes things are, time is of the essence, so if it's something that's really pressing, we've got to get an answer or something like that, then I'm going to work on it. So setting boundaries, personal and business boundaries is number 2. That'd be a non-negotiable.
Yeah. Well, that's a good one right there. You've got
Yeah.
2 really good ones so far.
Yeah. Without that, you'll either burn out your business side, or you'll burn out and turn away your family side. Family will, at that time, family will resent you and your business, and that's not going to be good. We're all self-employed, so you've got to manage it. Really, a third non-negotiable. Man, I'm gonna have to think about that for a second.
That's okay.
Yeah,
I bet it has something to do with networking and the setting the processes and procedures to stay in touch with those clients. Like you said, it was such a big deal for you.
Yeah, you're right. So I would say communication. So, and for me, communicating to your past base, your referral base, get plugged into a CRM, so that you can manage that communication. Also, it's communication with my vendors that I use. Everybody always asks you, title companies, loan officers, inspectors, they all ask you, well, hey, what's the biggest thing to you? What do you need, from me, what can I do to earn your business? And for me, it's communication. If you don't have good communication with me and my clients, that's a non-negotiable, because I'll give you a shot, and I'm not talking, I'm not saying if something goes sideways with a transaction, and it's really nobody's fault, I'm not going to blame somebody. I'm not going to put the blame on anybody. Sometimes there's things out of our control. But if there's something that could have been mentioned, or if somebody knew about an issue and they just kind of kept it and just said, oh, we'll kind of tackle that later on down the road.
Yeah.
Well, let's approach it first. Let's get to it early so that we can get it figured out. So I would say
bad news is bad news, but it gets worse the later it's delivered.
Exactly. So I'd say communication really for me is that's that would be a deal breaker, non-negotiable for me personally, because over the years I've dealt with a lot of different vendors, title companies, lenders, inspectors, plumbers, all kinds of technicians. And the ones that I really work well with and that I have continued to work well with are ones that communicate effectively.
Okay.
The ones that didn't, I'll let them know, hey, either you're slacking on this area, or whatever the issue may be. But if it's a communication issue, then it's set up front. And over the years, I've only lost one deal, one referral that I basically took for granted, and I let my communication kind of get real lax on it. So that was an eye opener for me. I was like, okay, even though I got this referral, I need to make sure I communicate effectively as well. And I told them to be honest with me. Hey, I want to learn. Why did you go with the other realtor over me? And they asked me if, to be honest. I said, I want you to be brutally honest. And she said it was, communication. So
that's tough to hear sometimes when you
is.
tell them, hey, I want you to be brutally honest. You're like, but be nice.
Yeah, brutally honest. But and she, it was great for me to hear, because it was eye opening. Like, okay, hey, you know what? I need to practice what I preach. If I want good communication, then I have to in turn reciprocate that. So that was the only deal I've ever lost to another agent. And like I said, it was eye opening. So I was like, hey, you know what? I don't want to feel that way again. I don't want to. It wasn't anything I could blame on anybody else. It was my own fault. So it was, lack of communication. Like, okay, you know what? I don't ever want to have a client walk away because of bad communication.
Yeah. Well, congratulations to you for even asking, how can I improve? How can I get better? And not just, sweeping that as well, she must have been a difficult person. It was great, great on your part to ask why. And now you can fix it. So
now you can fix it. That's, and when you ask that question, what can I do to it? What could I have done better? Or what was it? What was the reason? And when they tell you, oh, it was something that you did, like, okay, hey, that's a hard pill to swallow, but you know what? That's the way we learn and become better at what we do, regardless of what industry it's in, is by, taking your lumps and say, okay, hey, this is where I need to improve so that I can effectively help my clients better down the road.
Yeah, that's right. Well, what is a personal or a professional goal that you have in place for this year? Is it a dollar volume? Is it a unit volume? Is it traveling more with your wife? Well, what's a big goal?
It's so twofold. First one is another production goal. I'd like to help. Last year I did around 27 deals.
Okay.
And a lot of those were repeats. So as far as one of my clients, selling their older home and either upgrading or downsizing. So my goal this year is 15 million in production as a single agent. I did 10 last year, 10 million.
Okay.
So was top producer in our brokerage. Top producer out of our Katy office. We have two offices, one in Humble, one in Katy. So that's one goal. That's my business goal is 15 million. And then my personal goal is to travel more with my wife. So, we want to be able to take some time off in the summertime. That's when it's perfect for her, because she's a teacher. So, that's the time
my wife is a teacher as well. She's a librarian actually. And so, I know those are the best times to get on vacation. And it's probably the worst time for us to be on vacation.
Yeah, summertime is very busy, So, the personal goal is to be able to do that, but also like not have to take my laptop with me, So to increase my team capacity, working with a transaction coordinator to help offset some of that, the paperwork side of it, and just make sure things are still moving along while I'm gone. There's only so much you can do on your phone. So, definitely want to be able to take those vacations in the summertime without having to take the laptop with me.
Yeah, I just yesterday got my new tablet because I was like, okay, I can't do this on the phone. I need a updated tablet so I can carry it with me on the road when I'm out, you know, just heading to an appointment. And
Hmm.
so yeah, it's nice to have this technology available, but you can't let it cripple you in regards to your personal life as well. So
Yeah,
wh-
definitely. And my wife will let me know, like, hey, you're on your laptop too much while we're on vacation.
yeah,
She
yeah,
lets me know. So it she definitely helps keep me in check, which
yeah.
is because without it, you could just get lost in your work.
Yeah. Did you say you have a transactional coordinator now?
Not yet, not yet. So
Not
that's
yet.
part of
Okay.
my business plan and business goal this year is to get one on the books that way just to help out with everything. So
Okay. Okay. Well, during this time with you being in the real estate side, was there ever a time that you just thought, well, man, I don't know, I need to give up. This is not working. I want to do something else. Did you ever feel like giving up in this industry?
no, I never felt like giving up. I've the way that I structured my business, with starting with my sphere of influence, like I said, when I first started, so I first got my license in 2017. So I was, a dual career agent,
Hmm.
real estate plus my other job, and the goal was to always do both. So when I worked in that oil and gas industry, it was a flexible schedule and they knew I was a realtor. They had no problem with it, so it was, worked a lot of weekends and nights. I
Hmm.
never felt that I couldn't do it or I was going to quit. Um, you really, and really in 2021, when, January of 21, when they laid me off due to COVID, I was like, okay, well, now it's real. I was almost to the point where I could,
Yeah.
you know, they paid great benefits. So I was like, I can do both, you know, obviously being self-employed, you got to pay for your own health insurance and everything. So costs have gone up in that respect, but I never felt like I couldn't do it. Um, I'm one of our coaches and mentors in our office. So I've got new agents that have gotten their license over the last year and a half, and
Yeah.
it would be tough with the current market. If I had got my license in say 23, August of 23,
Yeah.
then I would have really seriously considered rethinking it if I was brand new, just
Right.
because of how tough the market was. And even though I had a great year last year, I have a lot of agent friends that didn't have the year that they were expecting.
Right.
So for some of them, it was a good year, but for a lot of them, it was a down year. And
Yeah,
not
I
just
heard y'all lost a large part of the real estate community, just left the industry, just like they did on the mortgage side. I heard a number that about 45% of loan officers did not renew their license.
wow,
45%.
that's huge.
That is big. And I heard the realtors lost a lot, but yeah, you're right. Last year would not have been a good year to make the leap into real estate.
Would have been really tough. Really, really, really
Yeah.
would have been really tough. So, but no, I never felt like I couldn't do it. Um, with my old management position when I was in my early 20s doing sales, for auto industry, it was, there was no such thing as the word no. If someone needed something, I would just figure out a way to go get it.
Yeah.
But with real estate, it's, realistically, it's, I'm not selling a product, I'm selling myself to make sure that I will do a great job for the clients. And then let's go find them the property that matches their criteria. Let's go
Yeah.
find the property that's right for you. It's going to be in a decent tax rate or low tax rate. That's going to make a bigger difference on your mortgage payment than a slightly
Mhm.
lower interest rate. So, it's about, knowing where to go to find those deals for my clients, but I never felt like I couldn't do it.
Yeah.
So, even
Well,
though that first
backing
quarter
up,
of 21 was tough.
yeah. Well, backing up to when you started, what would you tell yourself today that you wish you had known back then? Anything
Oh
you'd have done
gosh.
different?
Ask the right questions. Ask everything.
Okay.
You learn something different with every transaction. So early on in my career, I didn't ask a lot of the hard questions, because I
Yeah.
was, afraid, I'm like, okay, these guys are going to be, this client's going to, why are you asking me such, a personal question regarding this house,
Hmm.
so it was like, okay, hey, you know what? You got to ask these hard questions. Don't be afraid to do it. And you got to have hard conversations with people, but they'll love you more. They'll appreciate you more when you're honest with them.
Yeah.
They may not like the hard truth you're giving them, but do it anyway.
Right.
And then just continue to build up those relationships with people. So, I mean,
Yeah.
that's the way I structured everything. I follow a coach, Ricky Caruth out of Alabama. He's an excellent coach with, I think he's with EXP now. He used to be with Remax, but that's his whole spiel is, I mean, because he went bankrupt after just a few years doing great in the industry, went bankrupt because he looked at everything like a transaction. So he
Yeah.
completely changed his mindset to now it's all about building up relationships. And that's exactly right. So that would be my advice to, first year realtor Garrett is, hey, go have these conversations with people. Don't be too timid. Don't be afraid of rejection. They're going to nobody has a problem with talking to you,
Yeah.
but also you've got to be willing to ask for the deal. Ask them to be their realtor, ask them for the deal, but it's not just about the deal. You really need to build up that relationship so that, whenever they do give you that opportunity and to be their realtor, then they're like, okay, well, you did a great job for us. Hey, my friend
Yeah.
or my neighbor wants to, they want your information because I told them about you. So that would be my advice to first year Garrett is, hey, just go have those conversations, ask the hard questions. Not every client's going to have those hard questions asked, but
Yeah.
sometimes they do. Don't be afraid to do it. Just, get out there and hustle and do it.
Yeah. Well, you know what? I told you that 30 and 40 minutes would fly by. We're at 41 right now. I've got a timer in my upper right-hand corner. And
Yeah.
so I tell you what, I've still have quite a few questions I want to ask. So I would love to have you back for part 2 of the interview, whenever you can carve out some more time. But I always like to finish an interview with this question: what kind of legacy are you wanting to leave, and who are you building it for?
So that's a twofold question for me because I want to build a legacy in the industry. So when I first got started, everybody told me, man, this is a cutthroat industry. It's cutthroat, um, and we've all dealt with, another party to a transaction where you're getting screamed at, getting cussed at, something like that, where it really doesn't
Yeah.
have to be. There's enough business for all of us, and it doesn't have to be cutthroat. So for the industry side, what I want to try to leave it is, I want to leave it better than where it was when I became an agent. And part of that is, me changing the connotation of that it's a cutthroat industry. It doesn't have to be.
Yeah.
I mean, there's more than enough business for all of us, and there's really no need to, to be nasty on the one side of the transaction. So that's one thing I want to try to change about it is change the notion that it's a cutthroat industry, and it doesn't have to be. We can all be cordial with each other. The other side is, legacy for my family. Whenever me and my wife do decide to have kids, I want them to, potentially, cause now that there's social media, everything we do electronically is going to be here forever. We
You're
didn't
right.
have that when I was growing up.
Well, thank
So
God. Thank God
yeah,
it
no
wasn't around when
kidding.
I was.
Yeah, we all did, dumb stuff when we were really young, so it's like now it just gets out there a lot faster.
Yeah.
But I would love for legacy to be for my kids or maybe my grandkids to be like, oh, hey, yeah, this was dad or this was granddad, and he was a realtor and he really made a difference in people's lives. So something that they can potentially look back on later down the road and say, and be proud of that, I mean, I know what my dad did for a living. And I love him for it, but it was kind of in an industry where, there was really no impact, there was no lasting impact on the community. And I really think with real estate, we can have a lasting impact. There's so many great agents and great teams just in the Katy area alone. And you can tell that they're leaving a good impact on the community. So that's what I want to try to leave as well.
Yeah, you're having an impact on everybody's wealth and building wealth through real estate, and that's one of the safest investments that people can make. We have the ups and downs. We understand that, but over the long haul, real estate is a great investment, and you're
For
helping
sure.
build somebody's wealth, generational wealth through what you do. So yeah, that's a great one. Um, all right. Well, I'm going to finish up with our lightning round, and these are short answers and short questions, but we'll finish up with these. Who is your favorite author or speaker? Maybe your coach.
Ooh, um, favorite author or speaker? I would have to say Ricky Caruth, the one that I follow.
Okay.
I mean, he's excellent. He's precise. He says it like he calls it like he sees it.
Hmm.
That's
Okay.
that's what I love about him.
Okay. Favorite vacation spot?
Oh, ooh, that's a tough one. Vacation spot is Hawaii.
Okay.
My wife will say anywhere with a beach, but it's definitely Hawaii for her and myself as well. Been there a few times over the my life. So it's
Yeah.
definitely a good spot.
Gotcha. Favorite pastime or hobby?
Ooh, golf and baseball.
Golf and baseball. I knew I
Yeah.
liked you. I love to play golf, and I played baseball through freshman year of college, and I miss getting to play baseball, but I'm loving this time of year because
Hmm.
you're starting to see ball on TV
Yep.
again, and I just changed over internet providers so I could watch the Astros, and so I'm excited about baseball just right around the corner. If you're waiting for pro, college has already started, so that's a great thing. I love it.
Yep.
So favorite movie?
Oh gosh, favorite movie. Oh, I'd probably have to say I'll probably say Gladiator.
Oh, that's a good one. I like that. That's good, real good one. Favorite, this will be the last one. Favorite sports team.
Favorite sports team. Okay, it's got to be the Houston Astros. Uh, I mean, I grew up in Arlington, so but I'm an Astros fan now. I'm a season ticket holder, so
Oh, really?
I'm a bigger baseball fan than I am football fan. But yeah, it'd have to be the Astros.
Okay, great. Garrett, I can't thank you enough for being a guest on our show. It's been 46 minutes and it flew by just like I thought it would, and we'd love to have you back again. But if someone wants to reach out to you, uh, what's the best way to do that? Email, phone number? We have your number scrolling on the bottom, but just in case anybody's just listening to this podcast, why don't you give your information on how to reach you?
Yeah, no, the best way to reach me is my cell phone. Either calling me or text me. It's 281-905-1172. That's the best way to get in touch with me. Weathers Property Group with FYI Realty is my broker. I'd love to help anybody out that has any questions, even if me helping you is just answering some questions for you. Want to do what I can.
Yeah. And we'll also put all of your contact information on the description of the podcast and on YouTube as well. But anyway, thank you so much for being our guest.
No, Mark, I appreciate the opportunity, and yeah, definitely look forward to scheduling part two. It'd be great.
Okay, sounds good. Well, listen, everybody, I'm Mark Zachary with Next Step Home Loans. I'm broker and owner of Next Step Home Loans, and information is free where I come from. So if you need anything addressed in regards to financing, that's what we do. My number is 832-504-9014 or mark at nextstephomeloans.com. But Garrett, thanks again. And we'll get part two scheduled. And we appreciate the time you gave.
I appreciate it. Thank you, Mark.
All right, guys, we'll see you next time with Real Estate Pros of Houston. Take care. Bye-bye.
Thank you for listening to another episode of Real Estate Pros of Houston. Follow us on Spotify, Google Podcast, Apple, and iHeartRadio, and check out our main website at nextstephomeloans.com for more information on mortgage news, loan programs, and getting pre-approved for a home loan or set up a quick home buying consultation. We'll see you next week with another episode of Real Estate Pros of Houston.